What's up, guys? So, I am doing something a little bit different than I usually would. Just because this week is so fucking busy that I just did not expect. I am combining two movies into one. So, I'm just going to give a quick little review of it, and then I guess we can talk a little bit about Oscars for those movies where it's applicable, which might not be a ton, but regardless, we are basically going over The Tender Bar and Red Rocket. So, The Tender Bar, directed by George Clooney, starring Ty Sheridan, Ben Affleck, Lily Rabe, Christopher Lloyd. To kind of put it simply, almost kind of a coming of age story. JR, played by Ty Sheridan, is basically is fatherless, and Ben Affleck is kind of like his I don't know, kind of wise, cool uncle, and he kind of just grows up, man. He loves to write and he wants to be a writer, all that kind of shit. I don't like doing synopsises. I like this movie. I gotta be honest. While this movie's not amazing, I am genuinely surprised at some of the responses I'm seeing for this movie. And Jesus Christ, my hair is so fucking tall. I need a haircut. But like some people I follow, they gave this like 1 star. I'm like, bruh, are you joking? Like, what movie did you watch? 1 star is reserved for like the special bad kind of movies. This is not one of it. I thought this movie was pretty light. It goes by pretty quick. Thought it was pretty charming, funny at times. Ben Affleck is great, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. Like this was just a fine movie. It's not gonna blow anyone's minds. I don't think this is gonna end up on anyone's top 10. But I mean, my God, this movie is better than what I'm seeing people rate it as, in my opinion. So I'm kind of surprised about that. Now, I don't think George Clooney is a great director. Like let's not forget The Midnight Sky, just what he last did. This is probably one of his. Gosh, it's weird to even say better ones because it's still not. If this is one of your better movies, that's still kind of not great. If I'm being honest, and I love Ben Affleck in this, and once again, we're going to talk about him. If Ben Affleck and George Clooney kind of switched roles and George Clooney starred in it, Ben Affleck directed it, that, not that Ben Affleck is no Martin Scorsese or anything, but I mean, that would have been so much better in my opinion. Now, that's not even a criticism of it because we get the movie that we get, but I'm just saying I would have liked to see that. Now, in terms of its negatives, and these are going to sound kind of big, but the editing, weird editing choices sometimes, very weird and jarring cuts sometimes, and the characters' arcs feels like it was either A, completely rushed at the end, or B, not finished at all. It's almost like Act 3 kind of didn't really exist and it was just more so like vibes, you know what I'm saying? And that matters. I mean, obviously, I talked to a critic afterwards. I was like, "Hey, like what'd you think of it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I liked it. It's just, I wish I had some closure." And I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I saw that too. So, kind of to wrap this up in a neat little bow before I talk about Ben Affleck, I still think this movie was pretty good, pretty charming. It's not gonna blow anyone's minds. I thought it was solid. When I rated it on Letterboxd, I guess I was being nice because I'm just gonna repeat that. 3.5 stars. That might be a little high, to be honest. That might be a little high. 3 stars seems kind of good for it, but whatever. I'm gonna leave it anyways. I enjoyed it. We can talk Oscars for a second. I mean, Ben Affleck is the really only pull for this, and he was just nominated for a Golden Globe. Didn't get Critics' Choice, but if I'm being honest, I think he was really good in this. And just based on the potential lineup of nominees for supporting actor, which I will get into with my December predictions that will be coming soon, I promise. I know it's late. I would take Ben Affleck over a lot of the potential frontrunners for that category. That's not even really a comment on how much I loved his performance here. It's more so just my disdain for the other nominees, and I say that respectfully. I say that respectfully. I know that's weird. I say that respectfully, but I think he's really good, and he should probably be in your top 10. You just can't count out a star like Ben Affleck. Like, would I be shocked if he just won the Globe for supporting actor? I wouldn't. I think he's really good in it. It's a good part for him. I'll admit it's kind of the same. He kind of does the same stuff throughout the whole movie, but it's so charming that you kind of just forgive it. So that's cool there. Let's move on to a less wholesome movie for sure. Red Rocket, Sean Baker's follow to the Florida Project. This movie is fucking wild. This movie is fucking wild. I felt like I was committing a crime just by watching it. And let me explain. So, as most people probably know, Simon Rex plays an ex porn star who's kind of just going through it. He's back in his hometown, and well, I'm not gonna. It's weird to say spoilers, but I'm not gonna spoil anything. But he kind of falls in love with a girl named Strawberry, who is underage, like 17, turning 18 soon, and he's basically like, she is my ticket to get back in the game. I am going to make her the most famous porn star ever. Kind of. Oh man. So you hear that premise, and yeah, it's wild. It's a wild premise. But before people go freaking out and say this movie's disgusting, how could you talk about this? How could you watch this? How could people make this? You know, that's a whole different conversation on what you think art should be, and I'm definitely not get into that. I'm gonna judge the movie on what it gave me already without thinking about some of that shit. I like this movie. I really like this movie, if I'm being honest. One, besides it being funny and entertaining and you're surprisingly invested in the story. The main thing with a movie like this, with a premise like that, the director has to understand its characters. And thank God Sean Baker understands who this person is. He understands this person is not a good person, a very slimy, gross type of person. And they know that. And the movie shows it. If you watch this movie and you see, you know, in my opinion, if you watch this and you think that Sean Baker is approving of this guy's actions, I don't know what movie you watched. Because to me, it's very clear Sean Baker knows this character is gross, and it shows it throughout the movie. And that is good. That is fucking good. And Simon Rex is incredible in this. I fucking loved Simon Rex in this. If you think about Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, right? That character is not a good character, right? And he makes the most like frustrating decisions ever. It's weird. You're not really rooting for him per se, that Uncut Gems character, but you're captivated by him, right? That's the same thing with Simon Rex in this movie. You're definitely not rooting for him. That's for sure. I hope you're not rooting for him. And at the same time, you are completely invested in his character and what he's doing, and you can't really look away. And that is the mark of a great performance right there, especially with the character like this. Now, if you've seen the trailer, there is great use of music in this. It is absolutely wild. It's pretty funny. Like I said, it's entertaining. In terms of any negatives, it is a little bit on the longer side, and it starts to kind of wear itself out. I thought there was a good point where it should have ended, and it kind of kept going. There's parts you can kind of take apart here and there, and I don't think you lose much of the story. If it was a bit tighter, I think this would definitely be higher up in like my final 2021 rankings. But even with that being said, this movie was just fun, and it was funny, and yes, it is a fucking wild ride, and yet Sean Baker kind of makes you invested. Red Rocket, 4 stars. In my opinion, Simon Rex would be in the best actor conversation if it was up to me, but it's obviously not up to me, and there's no fucking way Red Rocket is touching any Oscar nominations. So, you know, that kind of is what it is. There's no fucking way this movie gets touched by any Oscar nominations. I am glad that it is getting some recognition in other bodies, especially like Simon Rex. So that's cool there. Yeah, those are 2 movies coming out pretty much sometime this week. I'm so lost in my release date that I'm getting all confused. But 2 movies that I both recommend. So I think Red Rocket is the superior film. I like it much more. But I'll admit that movie is definitely not going to be for everybody, where I think The Tender Bar could kind of is more broadly appealing. So that is quick little reviews on The Tender Bar and Red Rocket. Expect The Matrix Resurrections next, and then finally my December predictions. So thank you all for watching and subscribing. I hope everyone is staying safe, and yeah, bye.